Good afternoon and welcome to our weekly Lunch Bite webinar series for Interface Systems. My name is Brooke Kaiser and I'm the Marketing Coordinator. Lou Smith, our Director of Consulting Services, will be presenting today on data sharing via OneDrive and Microsoft 365. Please use the Q&A toolbar for any questions you may have during the presentation, and we thank you for joining us today. Enjoy the webinar.
Well, hello everyone, my name is Lou Smith. I'm a member of the Interface Systems team. Thank you for taking the time to join us for our webinar today regarding data sharing via OneDrive in Microsoft 365. One quick point of clarification, today we will be focused specifically on OneDrive for Business, which is what comes with Microsoft 365. I want to make sure we don't get it confused, which does happen from time to time with OneDrive Personal, which is a free service that you can obtain from Microsoft with any free Microsoft account, such as via Outlook.com. Very limited in space, does have some similar functionality, but we're focused purely on OneDrive for Business today. Now, this is a great location where you can store personal files. It is also a fantastic location from which you can share data, whether it's internally with someone in your organization or someone externally outside of your organization. And when we talk about sharing, we have to talk about permissions briefly. A couple of things to keep in mind here. The first option you may never see because your organization may not allow it, and that's okay. Honestly, it's a best practice of ours to not allow this within an organization. Anyone with the link to the folder or the file that you have sent can access it, plain and simple. Now, there's some parameters you can set around that, but we always recommend against this. Make sure you're picking specific people or people within your organization as an example. So going down the list here, people within your company that have the link to the information can access it. Contoso is our test company here. People that already have access, that's kind of a no-brainer. And then specific people is the one that we'll focus on the most today. But let's go ahead and hop right on over to our test Microsoft 365 tenant. So I'm in my OneDrive for Business folder. You can see some of the folders that I've created, some of the test files that I have in my root folder here. And you can share files from either a file level or a folder level perspective. So by simply clicking on share at the file or share at the folder level, you can perform the exact same functions. So if I wanted to share this file as an example, go ahead and click share. Now you see the option for anyone with the link can edit. Now I mentioned there's some other parameters. If your organization does allow this, make sure people set an expiration date on that link so that it expires at a certain point in time. And we also always highly suggest adding a password. Now, if you're allowing people to edit those files, you can't block their download. However, if you only want them to view the file, you can block them from downloading that from your OneDrive. So you have some capabilities here at your fingertips. And some of this applies to other locations as well. If I'm naming specific people within my organization or outside of my organization, if I'm not allowing them to edit, I can block the download as well. But if I allow them to edit, well, then I'm not going to be able to block that download. So a handful of things to keep in mind as you're sharing the files. But if I go ahead and just click apply here, I'm going to allow some editing and I'm going to share it with a specific person. For testing purposes, I'm just going to pick someone within the organization here. You have the capability to enter a custom message. If you wanted to, you could just copy the link to that file or that folder straight from here and share it in an email. Now, two things here. You can go ahead and click send. It will send an email out from your Exchange account, from your Outlook account, and send it to that person. You can also click on Outlook here, and it will open Outlook for you and give you the capability to customize. So if you wanted to enter in a specific subject for the email that you're going to send, put some extra text down here, whatever it might be, doesn't really matter. This is, Outlook. You can do whatever you want with it, and then just go ahead and click send, and that will be sent off. Now, just to give you an idea of what that looks like for the recipient, so here is the person that we just sent it to. Here is the email that they received, and it has a link to that file. I can simply click on the file link, and it opens it up right here in my browser. Pretty simplistic. Now, that was very seamless because I'm already logged into my Microsoft 365 account as Megan Bowen, who I shot the share request to. If you're sharing internally, this works perfectly if you're already signed in. If not, you'll be prompted to enter your credentials to log in. If you're sharing externally, one thing to keep in mind, that external recipient does need to have either a Microsoft 365 account or have created a free Microsoft account that anyone can do online. And there's instructions that come through in that share request if they need to do so. So really good info to keep in mind here. Now, let's say that I've shared some files and I forgot who in the world I shared my files with. You have the opportunity in your options here to go ahead and click on the Manage Access option here. And it gives you the list of who all has access to that file. So I can see right away, Diego and Megan both have access to this location. And if I needed to revoke access, let's say I found out that Diego was actually someone that worked for another company, he's no longer with the organization, and I want to make sure I clean up those permissions, I can go ahead and just remove that here as the owner of this OneDrive location to make sure that Diego doesn't have access. Or if I sent it to someone by mistake, which that happens from time to time, right? You can update it here as well. So some flexibility as far as how you manage who has access to what. You can do that both at a file and a folder level as well. Same exact thing. No one else has access here, so no options to worry about in that regard. However, there's one other feature that I want to make sure we call out today, and it's one that not many people know exists, even though it's actually in the drop-down menu here. And it's this option called Request Files. Many financial services organizations are typically the ones that fall into this category where they need people to upload sensitive data. They want them to upload it into a location to which they can only upload to, and they won't have access to any other data in that folder. Request Files gives you that option. So on a file folder, you can simply click on Request Files. It will give you the opportunity to create a custom message. I'm just going to leave this message that was typed in here previously, but basically, what files are you requesting? Please upload the files that we talked about. Go ahead and click Next. Now, so we can see what this looks like when it comes through, I'm going to go ahead and select Megan again as my test user. Now, I have the opportunity to copy the link here and send it if I want to in a separate message, but for this purpose, I'm just going to follow the GUI here and get it out. You can send test message if you want to, and we'll go ahead and click send. Now, if I switch back over to Megan's email, here comes that request right through into my inbox. So as the recipient, I see the option to upload files. You see the message at the top, Enrico shared this or sent this request to you. Here's the custom message that you put in so that you can remind them about what files to upload. And then as the recipient, I simply need to click on Upload Files. And when I do so, it brings up another screen that says, please upload the files we talked about. Again, the custom message repeated here. And then I simply have to select a file. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this test file that I have here. If I needed to add more files, I could absolutely do so. I'm just going to go ahead and upload this so that we can see the process and how it works end to end. So that is uploaded. Fantastic. Let me switch back over to Enrico's OneDrive. Now I did that from the Office Lens folder. One thing to keep in mind, I could have sent that to 5 different people and asked them for similar files. However, I only did one in this test, but if I did, there's a nice feature that's added here. Notice how Megan Bowen's name is appended with an underscore at the beginning of the file name. So if 5 different people uploaded, and look, there's the other one. So I did one earlier, here's another one that just popped up, same exact one. It actually renamed it with a 1 at the end for the second one. You can see that that name is there, and you'll be able to tell who uploaded that data. Now, again, you can also see who modified, when they did it. It still has your same permission levels tied to it, which is great. But it gives you that capability to see exactly who uploaded that data. So some really powerful tools that you have at your fingertips, straight from Microsoft 365 that you can leverage today with your Microsoft 365 account. I hope you found our content today useful for your business and for your teams. If you have any questions, as always, please do not ever hesitate to reach out. My contact information is on the screen for you here. Please also check out our website for future webinars at interfacesystems.com/webinars.
Thank you again for joining us today. As always, questions are welcome using the Q&A chat feature. So please don't hesitate to contact us after the webinar if you think of any questions after the fact. Lou's email address and phone number is listed on the screen there. So we look forward to seeing you at our future webinars, and we'll answer any questions you may have right now.
Alrighty, so I do see one question that's come through in the shared chat here. Does request files work the same way with external recipients? It does. Actually, this raises one question, and I'm not 100% certain. I don't believe it's required. Don't quote me on that one at the moment. But the requirement that I mentioned regarding needing a Microsoft account, I don't think you actually have to have that for that to function. Actually, I need to look into that. I've never tried that with an external person. Typically, it's been more internal when I have done that. Great question, though. One private question came over to me here regarding the permissions. You can remove permissions one by one. Is there a way that you can globally do it as well? Yes. So when you share with someone externally, that Microsoft account is actually logged within your Office 365 or your Microsoft 365 Active Directory. You can go ahead and remove that account from Active Directory at any point in time, which thereby would remove those permissions as well. So that's another good one to keep in mind. And then I have one other one here, last one sent over privately. Oh, okay. So are sharing configurations for OneDrive for Business only set globally, or can they be set individually? Good question. You can set sharing permissions for OneDrive globally for the organization. However, after you do that, you do have the capability to go in and configure specific individuals that have different permissions. As an example, anyone with the link option, if for some reason there was a person in your organization who legitimately needed to have that functionality for the sharing, you could set it so the entire organization does not allow, but then go in for that one person and customize it for them. So yes, there is some really good flexibility there. One other thing that I always like to call out with regard to OneDrive, 15 gigabytes has traditionally been the extent as far as file size is concerned for any file stored, and thereby the limit of what you could share externally. However, Microsoft did announce that this month, and it'll be rolling out throughout the course of the month as they typically do, they're extending that to 100 gigabytes on a file level, which is fantastic for a lot of our clients, especially on the life sciences side, who do a lot of images that they need to share externally. So just a heads up that that change is coming. And that's all that I see, Brooke.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lou. Well, thank you again for your time today. We appreciate it, and we look forward to having you at our next webinar. Have a good day.